Thanks for having me, you guys. I think I'm just going to go right into a song. We have time for maybe, a handful of songs, but I want to throw it out there. I hear that some of you are musicians. I hear that some of you may even be writers. Maybe you're a poet, or maybe you're a songwriter already, practicing writing songs. And I just want you to know that I may throw it out there if somebody wants to play a song. I'd be happy to lend you my guitar, or if you've carried your instrument with you, maybe we'll have time for that. My name, again, is Terri, and I was born in North Carolina. I was first introduced to the guitar when I was 10 years old. I was living way out west in California in the middle of the Mojave Desert. And I borrowed my brother's guitar and I started taking guitar lessons. I also had a teacher in school. My homeroom teacher was very, very handsome and tall. And he wore jeans and cowboy boots into class. And he kept his guitar in the schoolroom. And while we were reading or in between assignments or whatever, he would sit in his chair and throw his boots up on the desktop and pick up his guitar and sing songs to us. And really, that's when it all started for me. I've always loved music. I've always loved playing records and listening to records. And I've been writing songs since I was your age or maybe even younger. So I'm just going to start playing a couple of songs, and then we'll just do whatever we do, okay? Thanks for having me.
Sitting by this well, the one that stands nearest to the telephone, and I swear I ain't waiting the phone to ring. Anymore. It's just that I'm still carrying your love around inside of me, inside of me. It's just the way I feel. It's just the way I feel. It's just the way I feel these days.
so much. You know, sometimes we write songs when we're lonely or when our hearts are broken. There's a lot of unrequited love songs out there, right? I would have to say that that's the bulk of a lot of songwriting. Oh my. Now, who do you think that is?
The police.
It sounds really big.
Knocking on the door over there. Hey, high five, guys. Girls press one.
No.
I special invited here. Hi, guys. We wanted to go without microphones so we could get like the acoustic feel for sure. Vibe. So it's kind of hard, like, especially if you're trying to talk while she's singing or if you're distracted by noises outside. So let's just stay focused and present in what's going on here. Thank you, Jody.
Sometimes we write songs about things that we experience, and we tell stories. And sometimes we write songs when we're scared and we think our lives are about to be upended. And this is a song that I wrote while I was hunkered down waiting for a hurricane to pass over several years ago. This is called Come Another Hurricane. This is kind of a sort of a country, sort of bluegrass song. Another pail, baby, one more to bathe ourselves in later. Fetch a pail, fetch another pail. All I really need to be is 100 miles away for my babies to be safe, for my babies to be safe. Reckon I'm gonna pull some light to me, gonna pull the light we need. Candle in the drawer and a saucer for beneath, gonna pull the light we need. And where will we go to lay our three heads safe from the glass, wind and rain? From the glass, wind and rain. Someday this marsh gonna break away, and the concrete will lie in that gray abyss, and this southeast prairie will be but a memory. Come another hurricane, season like this. Come another hurricane, season like this. Maybe I should sit down, write my love a letter, write a letter to the one I love. Bury it deep, just to be found years later, neath the rubble, beneath the mud. 'Cause if the storm should pass, and I have not survived the safe world, Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
What inspired you to start writing your own?
You know, when I first started to listen to records, it was sometime in the 1960s, like maybe 1963. And you've probably heard of the Beatles, for instance, and Elvis Presley, and folks like that. And man, were we really lucky people to be young and have our ears open around that time. You know, when I was a kid listening to the radio, to pop radio, you know, you might have a choice of like maybe 2 or 3 stations, and when I was growing up way out in the desert, we could barely even pick up a radio station. But when I was a kid listening to the radio, all of popular music was played on one FM station, and I could hear Johnny Cash and the Jackson 5 on the same station. I could hear Black Sabbath and Booker T and the MGs all on the same station. So I just was drawn to it at a very young age. And all types of music was being created, like it was a time of creation. Genres of music were brand new. Rock and roll was brand new. You know, Roy Orbison was this great ballad, singer. He was a real crooner. He could sing at this high pitch and sing these beautiful, heartbreaking ballads. And the time and the shift was happening so quick. The Rolling Stones were right on his heels. Things were changing so rapidly. We just were exploding with music. And, you know, where it was personal for me is that growing up's not easy. Being a kid is hard. And it gave me a place to put my feelings. Just like some of you might paint pictures, maybe you sculpt, maybe you write poetry, maybe you just run and play sports, and jump rope and get your emotions out. Are you a rope jumper? I see that. Yes. Yeah. We jumped rope. We had pogo sticks. Anybody hear of pogo sticks? Oh my gosh. Riding bicycles. What's your question? Quiet, please.
What made you choose the guitar?
I think that I chose the guitar because I was watching people play the guitar. Elvis Presley played the guitar. Creedence Clearwater, Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Cat Stevens, Glenn Campbell, Joni Mitchell, all those people. You know, it was a time of great folk music, and there was a guitar in the house. Yeah. Yes.
Who was your biggest inspiration to make you start writing?
I think it was watching other musicians. I just loved the way the guitar looked. And when I was growing up, there was music specials on television every week. There were all these talk shows. Everybody had their own talk show, daytime, nighttime. And then sometimes some of my favorite artists like John Denver would have a special. And for an hour he would play music and have special guests. And I loved the way the strings on the guitar would shine under the television lights. So I was watching other players and songwriters, and it just made for these feelings, you know, these gushing feelings. And like I said before, I just needed a place to you know, project my own stuff outward, get it outside of me. Yes?
I've tried writing music before, but it's always really repetitive. How do you stop that?
How do you stop it from being repetitive? Here's one thing that you can do, is you can pick up music books, okay? And you can, learn other people's songs and listen to a lot of music, but learn other people's songs, because they'll have a chord progression in the verse, and then in the chorus they'll have a different chord progression. And then if they have a bridge, it goes even further off of your staple progression. And then you go back to your verse and your chorus. Sometimes when we're first learning, we can be a little bit drony and maybe just play a couple of chords and keep singing that same melody over again. But listen to a lot of music, sing it, get all that melody into your head, because every time you change melody, the melody is going to lead you into a different chord and potentially a whole different progression. So listen a lot, sing the material, and learn other people's material. Play as much as you can.
How did you get your career?
I released my first record in 1996, and I was already well into my 30s, so I was kind of a late bloomer. I didn't have a whole lot of confidence. I moved around a lot as a kid, so I was always the new kid in school. So I didn't have a whole lot of confidence, and I didn't have a whole lot of guidance from my family. I didn't have a whole lot of support, so I did things late. But when I did make my first record, there were people that were listening that had a lot of confidence in me. And my first record just sort of had wings of its own. And next thing I knew, I was off and running and going to different cities and playing with different artists and touring and making radio dates and stuff like that. It's the music industry is a huge industry now. Unlike when I was a kid growing up and listening to records, it's a huge industry now. And I don't really say that this is a lucrative career for me. I do other things for a living, but this is my passion. So I've given it up a couple of times, but I always come back to it. So remember that. Sometimes you might lose confidence in yourself and think, well, this is really going nowhere. And if you quit playing, then you've got to relearn it. And that's sort of heartbreaking and painstaking at the same time. So try to always hold on to the things that you do if you're enjoying them. If you're not, let them go. Make space for something else that you love in your life. One more question and I'll play another song.
What was the first song you wrote?
The first song I wrote was, I think it might have been about God. It might have been about God. I was so young that I can't remember the title of it. And then my next song was, I think, about a crush that I had. Yeah. Okay, so let me, this is a song by a person named Roland Sally, and Robert Plant and Alison Krauss re-recorded this song a few years back. Robert Plant, some of you might know from the rock and roll band Led Zeppelin from the 1970s. A few years ago, he decided he wanted to start performing with other people, and he collaborated with this woman in the bluegrass genre. She's a huge, huge staple in the genre. And of all people, he chose a bluegrass performer to make this record with that won a lot of Grammys. This is called Killing the Blues.
Leaves will fall just like embers in colors red and blue. They set us on fire. just like a moonbeam in our eyes. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over the white clouds, killing the blue. Now I'm guilty of something. I hope you never lose you, because there is nothing sadder than losing yourself in love. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over the white clouds, killing the Now you ask me just to leave, to go out on my own and get what I need to. You want me to find what I've already had. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over the white clouds, killing the blue. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over the white clouds,
Thank you so much. If we do this right, there's time for 2 more songs. Let's hear it for your co-singers.
I was scared of dentist in the dark. I was scared of pretty girls and starting conversations. Oh, my friends are turning green. You're the magician's assistant in your dreams. Oh, they come unstuck. Lady, you're running down to the riverside, taking away to the dark side. I'm gonna be your left-hand man. I love you when you sing that song, and I'm gonna laugh at my throat, but you're gonna the highest shelf. Mayday, running down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side. I'm gonna be your left-hand man. I love you when you're singing that song, and I'm gonna lump in my throat, 'cause you're gonna sing the words wrong. Lady, running down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side. I'm gonna be your left-hand man. I love you when you're singing that song, and I got a lump in my throat, 'cause you're gonna sing the words wrong.
I'm not. Life is hard, living up pain. No one in the other feeling you. You don't wanna look at them. You're scared to look back. You want to know what it's like to be yourself in front. You can trust me. I am your friend, suddenly don't know. For love, in the end, knowing it's hard to forget. You know what it's like to be broken. It's broken in the end. You know it's hard to forget. You know it. It's hard to leave the past in someone's hand.
Tony, that's great. This is your own song.
Okay.